Here we have Ace, that I've been doing some work with in some other videos. As you know from watching those other videos, he was bought as a beginner horse, and maybe he was at some point, but he certainly didn't come to me like that.
Really?
He does need a lot of boundaries and has been doing quite a bit of groundwork. But you can see he's still testing me. He's moving his head around and just seeing what he can get away with, basically. The bridle is new to him. It's not new to me, obviously. It's not a new bridle, but I hadn't put it on him before until today. I wanted to test his mouth out, see how responsive he is. Because when I had seen the rider that owns him, ride him, he looked like he was a little bit hard in the mouth, a little bit stiff. So I wanted to see for myself what he was like. However, I have done some groundwork with him and established some of those boundaries and established my dominance, I guess, towards him. I don't really like to say I'm dominant because I like to sort of have a bit of a partnership with the horse, but I do like to be the leader so that, well, they behave. So I'm not getting angry with him or anything like that, just being patient, and we get results. So then when I do something new with a horse, like today, all of this stuff that I'm going to do today I've done before, but in a halter, not with the bit on. But I just wanted to get see how responsive he is to the bridle. He's quite responsive to the halter. Probably not as soft as he is to the bit, which surprised me because I expected that he would have a bit more fight in him where the bit's concerned, but surprisingly he's quite soft, which is good. Means I don't have to do too much work on mouthing him. The problem that his owner was having with him is bucking. He wasn't doing it every single time she was riding him, but the last time he did it, she got hurt. So we're sort of trying to establish why he bucked and fix the problem so that he doesn't think that it's an option again. So I'm doing exactly the same thing here as I was doing the other day, pretty much. So I'm sending him around, just letting him stretch in the walk. I did initially think he was cold backed, however I've now changed that opinion now that I've seen him a little bit more without a rider on him and so forth. I don't think he is cold backed. I think he is maybe a little bit uneducated, possibly to the leg aids, but certainly to the bridle he's very soft, which surprised me. So we're just basically doing a basic lunge, just sending him around, stretching him out, seeing if he responds to the bridle and turns his head towards me, which he does quite nicely, and he's very soft on the lunge. Again, surprised me a lot. Oftentimes mouthing is where some people go wrong when they break in. They don't mouth enough, or they don't establish the mouth so that it's soft. Maybe they're a bit too rough on them when they ride them. I don't know what the problem is with some trainers, but quite often when a horse has problems like that, where he looked like he was stiff when he was turning when she was riding and things like that, and I sort of thought maybe he's evading the bit a little bit. He moved his head around a lot and that sort of stuff. The bit that I'm using is a different bit to what she was using, so it could be that as well. I'm using a French link snaffle fixed string bit. I don't use anything other than either a French link or just a normal egg butt snaffle. I don't think that's necessary. The only reason he's got the French link in, I usually use them on Arabs and things like that because of their small mouths, but he's got one in is because I had a large one that would fit him, and I've only got smaller egg butts because I usually only have smaller horses. But Frosty, who I would like to do a demonstration on how to deal with a hard mouth, she uses an egg butt. So you can see he's quite responsive. He's quite attentive, he's listening to me, he's not moving his head around, he's not distracted or anxious as we do these exercises. It's all basic pressure release stuff. You'll notice when he's doing what I'm asking, I'm not putting any pressure on him. When he's not doing what I'm asking, there's pressure. He's actually quite a quiet horse when he settles into his environment. He may even be quiet outside of his environment now that he's got some groundwork established and knows that he doesn't have to worry about being the leader anymore, therefore he doesn't have to worry about external things. He's certainly not as anxious as he was when he first came. He is responsive though, which is good, but certainly quiet. The dog was playing with the hose around him. I thought it was him kicking the hose, but it was the dog playing with it, and it was sort of jumping around like a snake around his legs, and he didn't react. So he is a quiet horse. He just, for some reason, has brain farts. Probably because he thought he had to be the lead horse, and he thought bucking was the right answer. And that happens if it's not dealt with. And always you know, repeating what you're doing and adding things to it. So I'm not doing anything different here to what I was doing the other day with the halter on, and I did it without the halter on as well. Generally I like to get them to do things at liberty, but obviously you know, this is not my horse, and all of my horses I ride with a bit just because. But I can ride them in a halter and in a piece of ballantine as well. But, you know, this is a horse that will be up for sale, and most people ride with bits. I know some people are against them, but most people ride with them, including myself. So I'm still testing his mouth here, getting him to turn his head and turn his body as well. So I'm also asking with my hand as a leg aid for him to turn, so that when we get on him and use our legs, he understands that, to see if make sure he's soft to the leg as much as he is to the mouth. And that way when you get on him, he knows exactly what you're asking him to do. And he did a pretty good job today. Well done, Ace.